I am Bogumil Ulanicki from the Montfort University, Leicester, UK, representing the Environmental and Water Resources Institute, EWRE, WDSA History Project. The purpose of this project is to document the history of water distribution system analysis. An important part of this project is a series of interviews with engineers, modelers, researchers, and practitioners who have made significant contribution to the field of water distribution system analysis. Our interview today with Professor Joby Boxall from Sheffield University in the UK. He has been in the forefront of water distribution system analysis since 2000 and continues to make significant contribution. His work is in academia and industrial collaboration, has contributed to the monitoring, modeling, operation, and management of potable water distribution system, especially water quality and intelligent usage of sensors topics. This interview is being conducted on 2nd of September 2015 in Leicester, UK, during the 13th Computing and Control for the Water Industry Conference. Joby, you have been working in the field of water distribution system analysis for over 15 years. Can you tell us how you first got involved in this area? Your PhD was solute dispersion in naturally formed meandering channels.
Thank you, Bogumil. Yes, my PhD wasn't in water distribution systems analysis. It was looking at the fate of pollutants, mixing transport mechanisms in open channel flows, particularly the effect of curvature and natural channel formations, which was very academically challenging and interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed my PhD and got a lot of worthy publications and academic impact from it. But at the end, when I sort of looked around and thought, what is this actually going to change? What's going to be the impact of this work? There wasn't a huge active sector wanting those results, needing those results, which is when I looked around and sort of settled on the field of water distribution systems analysis as an important area, an area where I could see some big challenges. There's a big need for intellectual input, academic challenges that could be solved. So I decided to sort of take the expertise I had around water quality, hydraulic processes, the interaction of those, but apply them to water distribution systems.
What did you make you to choose civil engineering in the first place as 18 years old? It doesn't sound very cool for a young person.
Good question. What made me choose civil engineering? I'm not a natural writer. Has to be said, I have a bit of a dyslexia problem, not bad. So I often struggled at school. So for me, even getting, my family would tell you, even getting to university was quite an achievement for what I started doing. So I progressed along doing the things that interested me. Mathematical solutions, mathematical descriptions of problems interested me much more than the words. I liked the idea of building bridges, driving down a motorway, saying I built that. Somewhere through an undergraduate degree, I decided structures were too static, too easy. And I liked the freedom and the exploration of moving water and the challenges that presented. So I progressed into doing more of the hydraulic side, then a PhD in rivers, and then into water distribution systems.
You have collaborated with many people, among others Professor Andrew Saul, on a wide range of interesting and creative work. Tell us about this relationship and your work together, and what makes it so productive and creative.
Adrian Saul was mostly a sewers researcher, really was where he made his name at Sheffield. Did lots of work on sewer systems, urban drainage structures, particularly CSO, combined sewer overflows. He was a very inspirational figure for me at Sheffield University. Was inspired by his approach to both the academic challenge but also the application and the impact that research would have on practices. Adrian had started at Sheffield to develop some water distribution systems interest. He did some very early pioneering work around whole life costing modelling, which was some of the work I got involved with tying up with the management school then at Sheffield. I think the key to the success and inspired by Adrian was a lot of that collaboration and trying to make sure that your research, yes, had an academic challenge, but also had an application and a need, and there was a strong emphasis on engaging with the community, understanding what problems the users were actually trying to solve, rather than it just being an interesting intellectual challenge.
I remember I was internal examiner to one of your PhD students in the area of prediction and control of discoloration in distribution systems. I think it was very successful research and industrial relevant. Does it link somehow to your PhD days of investigating solute dispersion and so on?
Yeah, I mean, discoloration is probably one of the areas I hope I've made the biggest impact. I think I've certainly in the UK, and it's starting to spread internationally more. Yes, discoloration was really the first big thing I got into distribution systems to look at, and it definitely built on the PhD research I'd done in rivers, looking at how pollutants interact with the hydraulic environment, then extending that and applying it to a pipe system for a different set of challenges and problems. Again, that discoloration work has really built on, I was remarking as I was travelling down here, I first presented on it at CCWI here in Leicester in 2001, and it's still one of the papers that I see cited a lot. And it's where we first put forward our different approach to how discoloration processes should be thought about, should be considered in distribution networks. So it's nice to be back here 15 years later, 14 years later, and still presenting things on that work, seeing the PhD students, the growth of that sector and the impact it's had, both academically and on the sector and industry.
Most of your career was at Sheffield University. You just graduated in '97, is it correct?
That's right.
And 2009 you became a professor. It was a very, very fast-track career. Can you give advice to other young researchers how to progress so quickly? And I would like to do you mentor any young colleagues to help them in career development?
Absolutely. Sorry, the last bit, I do mentor colleagues, but to answer the first bit, advice to progress quickly up in academic career. I publish a lot, publish quality papers though, so that you tick the boxes for the bean counters, the metrics people, but equally make sure that work, as well as ticking those sort of high impact factor journals, high citation counts, make sure it has real impact. I think that's a very positive change internationally in the academic community, is this impact of research having a genuine change, genuine value to a sector, a society, PLC, global PLC. So yeah, definitely publish, make sure there's impact from your work.
Is any water company in the UK using your results?
Just about every single one of them.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the lovely things about the discoloration work is that, yes, we started with some Research Council money for a first proof of concept, which was 2001 for 3 years. At the end of that, I mean, that even had 2 water companies supporting it. From that, we then managed to get a consortia. I think the first one was 5 water companies together to see if we could prove it beyond the first initial test sites. Since then, to date, we've had a consortia of different companies. As their needs and their collective interests have changed, we've managed to keep evolving the questions we're asking, the impact we're having, understanding their needs, sort of progressed from individual pipes and customer level through to big trunk main systems. So now companies are trusting the work we're doing, the methods we're using for big multi-million pound, millions of people impacted if you get it wrong work. So it's very satisfying, and that relationship with industry has been very important, and I think a big impact on my career acceleration. Probably the biggest advice I would give someone trying to progress well is work out your niche, your area, what you want to focus on. Yes, have some backup plans and some flexibility if things don't work out how you want to, but pick an area and go for it, make a mark. Mentoring colleagues, I think, was another part of your question. Yes, I spend a lot of time trying to support, encourage people across their career stages. As an academic, I find the interaction with PhD students, seeing the development of individuals, a close relationship you can get there, one of the most rewarding, but also trying to help encourage young academics is really important. So I've just finished a couple of years ago being our departmental director of research, and in that I had a remit, particularly at that stage we had 10 early career researchers, new lecturers, and I had a particular remit to develop them, help them work out how to get their first grants funded, and I found that very rewarding, very satisfying.
You have this established collaboration with Yorkshire Water. You call it Yorkshire Water Services Strategic Partnership. Can you explain to us how it happened and what are benefits for you and for Yorkshire Water to continue this?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, as I've said, working with water companies in the UK has been a big focus for me, and particularly our local company, local to Sheffield University, is Yorkshire Water. There's been a very long-standing collaboration from Yorkshire Water, from their research and development department, to want to work with the local universities, support the local community. So there was a relationship before sort of I got involved and started doing distribution systems. But I think spending time with them, understanding their needs, their pressures, not necessarily the today problems, although some of those, but trying to help them look ahead a little way, see the next problems, trying to anticipate ahead a little, has been a key part to the success of the partnership we've had with them. I've headed up the clean water, the distribution systems partnership with them from Sheffield University. Adrian Sewell headed up the sewer system, now Simon Tate. But yeah, we've had a very long, successful collaboration. I think it's founded on that, really engaging with them, getting to know their structures and helping them anticipate the problems and solve those into the future.
Do you have any thoughts, or you would like to share with us your thoughts about future of water distribution system analysis and direction of research in this area, maybe the whole area of industry and so on?
Yeah, I think online real-time modelling is probably the next big thing we need, should try and crack. I think there's some huge advantages we can have from that. When we collaborated on the Neptune project with the Dragon, etc. A few years ago, where we, with Yorkshire Water and ABB, were lucky enough to try a project where they were first starting to put in communications-enabled flow pressure loggers, and we're looking at what we could do with that data. So it is a very active field. I think there's still huge challenges there around optimal placement, numbers of instruments, how you should measure parameters, what you do with the data, both from a data-driven modelling point of view. So at Sheffield, we've led quite a lot of work on deriving knowledge from data without necessarily combining it with a deterministic model. And I think there's a huge step you can make forward in there in terms of understanding the systems, predicting when failure might happen, responding to failure quickly. But also if we can actually start to fuse it with deterministic modelling, so the sort of offline hydraulic simulations and network simulations. But if we can start to drive those with enough real-time data, real-time understanding of the system, what we can actually understand of the system in real time and predicting a short period ahead, so we can really anticipate and manage those systems and eke out the life of the buried infrastructure we're all so dependent on. There's some big challenges coming if we don't get a whole lot better in understanding that ageing buried infrastructure. The UK inferred asset life, the rate we're investing at the moment, is something like 800 years. The average life's 70 years at the moment, and we've got big problems. So we've got to make a step change in that, and I think real-time data, real-time modelling is going to be a big part of solving that for the future.
So the biggest challenge for the UK water industry is aging infrastructure. What about in other parts of the world? We are lucky to have enough water in the UK, but what do you think are challenges in other parts of the world?
I'm not sure I agree. We've got enough water in the UK. South East, one of the most water-stressed bits of Europe, and going to get worse with climate change, the climate change impacts as well. But yeah, you could take the cynical view that the UK, we're furthest ahead at having the ageing infrastructure. Lots of places are copying the same infrastructure systems. They're ageing, equally you can't afford to keep investing in them. A nice quote I heard recently was China, rapidly developing world, are repeating all the kind of infrastructure mistakes we made over 200 years in 20. So trying to help them avoid some of those mistakes, I think is going to be a big challenge for us going forward.
Thank you.